Welcome to the deep dive, and thank you for joining us today. We're embarking on a truly fascinating exploration, and I'm genuinely excited to unpack a topic that touches on culture, economics, and, well, the very human pursuit of a better life. Today, we're taking a deep dive into Bangladesh, a country that's navigating rapid development while holding firm to its rich traditions. We'll be peeling back the layers of daily existence within its borders. But our mission doesn't stop there. What makes this deep dive truly unique is our pivot to a direct and I think really compelling comparison. We're going to examine what happens when life in Bangladesh is contrasted with life abroad, specifically in places like, say, the USA, Europe, or maybe the Gulf region. Our insights for this session come directly from a detailed comparison piece titled Excerpts from Life in Bangladesh and Abroad, a comparison. And look, this isn't merely about presenting facts, it's about getting into the core values, the driving dreams, and the significant trade-offs that individuals and families navigate in our increasingly globalized world. It promises to be an incredibly insightful discussion.
And that precisely encapsulates our mission for this deep dive. Yeah. This exploration is truly custom tailored for you, the listener, to provide a nuanced, sort of layered understanding of these two vastly different experiences. Our goal is to connect the dots, really, to go beyond surface level observations and reveal the why behind the daily realities. And, maybe most importantly, to uncover surprising insights about how culture, economy, and aspiration intersect in, well, profoundly human ways. As we navigate these comparisons, I encourage you, consider what genuinely stands out to you, what aspects resonate most deeply, maybe even challenge your own perceptions of what a fulfilling life actually entails.
Absolutely. And to truly appreciate the contrast, let's first establish a foundational understanding, right? What shapes life within Bangladesh? The source material describes it as a dynamic and intricate tapestry woven from a blend of deeply ingrained culture, strong family values, the prevailing economic conditions, the landscape of education, and crucially, the often challenging environmental realities that influence almost every aspect of daily existence. It's this rich context that really sets the stage for everything we'll discuss.
Okay, so one of the first things that truly captured my attention in our source material was the profound, almost foundational emphasis on family life in Bangladesh. We're told that living in joint or extended families isn't just common, especially in rural areas, but it's like the prevailing way of life. It makes you wonder, what does this actually mean for daily rhythms? Beyond just sharing a living space, how does this structure truly shape the everyday experience of a Bangladeshi individual?
Well, what's genuinely fascinating here is how deeply ingrained this family structure is. It stretches far beyond just physical proximity. It means daily life is, by its very nature, communal. Our source details how shared responsibilities extend to all generations, from the youngest kids being cared for by multiple family members to elders offering wisdom and childcare, and even like collective contributions to chores or managing shared family businesses. These aren't just practical arrangements, they're underpinned by incredibly strong emotional bonds. They form a foundational pillar of their society. And the respect for elders is paramount, almost a sacred duty. It profoundly shapes interactions, decision-making, even how resources are allocated within the family. For example, big financial decisions or even career choices, often made with the consensus and blessing of the senior family members. That's key. Religious practice, too, predominantly Islam, is a vital, integrated part of daily life. The source points out how routines like prayer times influence family schedules, or how religious festivals become these central communal events. This collective ethos translates into daily rhythms that include communal family meals. Everyone gathers, eats, talks, shares their day. It fosters this constant sense of connection. There's often shared work, too. Maybe farming together, collaborating on a small business, pooling resources for something bigger. And perhaps most importantly, there's a constant network of social obligations within this extended kin network. Attending family events, offering support during tough times, celebrating milestones. These aren't just options, they're deeply ingrained expectations. It creates this informal, but incredibly robust social safety net. Our source even highlighted studies suggesting over 70% of households, especially outside big cities, still operate within some form of extended family unit. That underscores its enduring prevalence, right, in the sense of belonging it provides.
Mhm. Now, we do see a distinction. Urban families might enjoy more modern comforts, maybe slightly smaller units, but still intensely interconnected. Rural families often lead simpler, agriculture-based lives. But one undeniable truth remains. The family unit, in its broader sense, is the absolute central pivot. Life revolves around it. It's the main source of identity, security, and that profound emotional support, which often helps buffer against, external economic hardships.
So it's far more than just sharing a roof. It sounds like an incredibly robust, multi-generational safety net, both practically and emotionally. Did the source get into whether this structure, while offering huge support, ever presents its own set of challenges, maybe in terms of individual aspirations or privacy? I can imagine a dynamic where individual desires might sometimes clash with those collective expectations. That's an excellent point, yeah. And the source does touch upon that nuance. While the collective identity provides immense comfort and security, it can sometimes create tension for individuals seeking a more independent path, especially among the younger generation. The pressure to conform, regarding marriage, career, even where you live, can be significant. The source suggests that for those whose aspirations diverge from traditional family roles, maybe wanting to move away or pursue a less conventional career, it can be a source of conflict, internal conflict, and external pressure. Privacy, too, as understood in more individualistic societies, is less emphasized in a joint family setting. Personal space is often communal.
Right.
However, the prevailing cultural narrative often frames these as, let's say, minor trade-offs for the overwhelming benefits of collective support and belonging. It's the delicate balance, And the source shows people often find creative ways to navigate these tensions, seeking compromise between what they want and family harmony.
Okay, with that deep picture of home life in mind, what then does the source reveal about how people in Bangladesh earn a living?
The range of jobs, from what I understand, is incredibly wide. You've got government service, which often carries prestige.
Significant prestige.
Right. Then the massive garments industry, the growing IT sector, education, which is so important, and beyond that, a huge reliance on traditional sectors like farming, fishing, and countless small businesses that seem to form the backbone of the local economy. But, and this is where the deeper insight comes in, the source also highlights some very significant challenges woven into this diverse economic tapestry. What are those underlying tensions? Yeah, this is where the economic realities really hit home. And it raises a critical question. How does this diverse job market intersect with the very real, often harsh economic conditions faced by the average Bangladeshi citizen? The source points out pervasive challenges like youth unemployment. That means a significant chunk of the younger generation, despite their education, despite their aspirations, they struggle to find meaningful, stable work. The source specifically mentioned that unemployment among university graduates can be as high as 15–20% in certain fields. That directly fuels widespread frustration.
Wow, that high.
Yeah. And even for those who do find jobs, underemployment is rampant. They're often working in positions well below their skill level or for wages that are just, insufficient to meet basic needs or the needs of their extended families. Crucially, the monthly income in Bangladesh is generally and quite significantly low compared to developed countries. The source provided a stark comparison highlighting instances where a family's entire collective income, maybe from multiple working members, might still be less than a single person's welfare benefits in some Western countries. That creates an almost irresistible pull abroad.
That's incredible.
It's not just a minor difference, it's a stark reality. It often compels people to work incredibly long hours, sometimes even holding multiple jobs, just to make ends meet and provide for their families. This stark economic reality isn't just a static condition. It fuels a major overarching aspiration mentioned in our source. Many Bangladeshi citizens dream, almost universally, of going abroad. To the Middle East, Europe, the USA, specifically for the promise of better salaries and more stable financial futures. This isn't just a casual desire, it's a powerful economic driver. It shapes individual decisions, family planning, even the broader migration patterns we see. The source indicates that remittances money sent back by migrants account for a substantial portion of Bangladesh's GDP, often exceeding 6 to 7%.
Wow.
That underscores the pivotal, transformative role of overseas employment in the national economy and for individual families. It speaks to a deep-seated belief that economic advancement, and thus a better life, often lies beyond their borders.
That's a powerful revelation, this tension between local opportunities, which exist but have these hurdles like underemployment, and these incredibly strong global aspirations driven by such a huge disparity in earning potential. It truly sounds like a defining driving force for so many. How does this impact the perception of local industries? Does it lead to a brain drain, or does some of that overseas capital eventually circle back to boost the local economy?
Well, the source indeed suggests a kind of dual impact. On one hand, yes, there is a significant brain drain, particularly of skilled professionals and educated youth who just see better career paths and financial rewards abroad. And that can limit the growth of high-skill industries domestically.
Makes sense.
However, the other side of the coin, as you hinted, is the transformative power of remittances. The source emphasizes this foreign income isn't just for daily expenses. A significant portion gets invested back into Bangladesh. This means building homes, starting small businesses, funding education for siblings, investing in land. So while talent may leave, the financial capital often returns. It indirectly fuels local consumption, construction, small-scale entrepreneurship. It's a complex cycle, really. The pursuit of prosperity abroad directly underpins a substantial part of the domestic economy, even if it sometimes comes at the cost of local human capital development. It highlights a fascinating interdependency between the diaspora and the homeland.
Education globally is often seen as the path to upward mobility, right? And our source confirms this is particularly true among the middle class in Bangladesh. It's not just valued, it's intensely pursued. But what's the reality for students navigating this system? What kind of a path does it truly pave when you look at it through that lens of aspiration we were just talking about?
Right. While education is indeed highly valued, almost revered, and pursued with immense dedication, students in Bangladesh face a uniquely challenging landscape. The source details this quite extensively. The system is characterized by intense competition. That's a direct consequence of a large population vying for limited high-quality spots in universities and later good jobs. This pressure is immense, not just academically, but psychologically too. It leads to widespread stress, sometimes even mental health challenges among students striving to succeed.
I can only imagine.
Beyond that, there are significant struggles with limited access to truly quality resources, especially outside the few top-tier institutions in major cities. This means disparities in teaching standards, inadequate infrastructure in many schools, think overcrowded classrooms, lack of labs or modern libraries, and a scarcity of up-to-date learning materials. And compounding these issues, our source notes that in some institutions there are unfortunately issues with corruption, things like favoritism in admissions or even grading. That can undermine the meritocratic ideals of education and further disadvantage students who lack connections or, financial means. So all of these factors together create a challenging environment for advancement within the domestic system. It often leads to a sense of disillusionment among students who've worked incredibly hard. Consequently, much like with job prospects, this challenging reality often leads many students to deeply aspire to study or work abroad. And this isn't just a fleeting wish. It reflects a genuine, profound desire for higher quality education, one perceived as more advanced, research-based, practical, and critically better career opportunities that they believe are more accessible outside Bangladesh. The source even cites anecdotal evidence of families pooling their entire life savings or taking out huge loans just to send one child abroad for higher education. They see it as the most strategic long-term investment for the whole family's future, their well-being, their status.
Wow.
It's a reflection of their ambition to overcome local limitations and unlock their full potential on a global stage. They see education abroad as the ultimate key.
So it sounds like there's this strong, almost irresistible pull towards looking beyond their borders, not just for work, but for the fundamental building blocks of a better life, like education. Because the local pathways, despite being valued, are just fraught with significant systemic challenges and intense competition. It's a remarkable testament to their determination, really, even if it means a great sacrifice.
Okay, beyond the big picture of family, work, and education, our source paints a vivid and often challenging picture of the daily realities, just part of life in Bangladesh. It's certainly not always smooth sailing, is it? What are some of those very tangible, often frustrating obstacles that people encounter regularly? What does it feel like to navigate them day in and day out?
Indeed. Daily life can present significant and persistent obstacles, particularly for those living in urban areas where infrastructure is constantly strained by population density. Traffic jams, for instance, are notoriously bad. They consume countless hours. The source vividly describes commutes that can turn a, say, 30-minute journey into a 2 or 3 hour ordeal.
Yeah, regularly. It profoundly impacts productivity, personal time, overall stress levels for millions of commuters daily. Imagine trying to get to work or take your child to school, only to be stuck in gridlock for hours, day after day, burning precious fuel and time. Beyond that, load-shedding power outages is a common occurrence across the country.
Right.
These unpredictable interruptions to electricity supply impact everything. Basic household functions like cooking and lighting, businesses, schools, even healthcare facilities. The source noted that while improvements have been made, many areas still experience multiple hours of power cuts daily. It adds this constant layer of inconvenience and unpredictability. And it doesn't stop there. Persistent water issues, ranging from scarcity and low pressure in some areas to quality concerns and contamination risks in others. Families often have to boil water or rely on bottled supplies. Air pollution, too, especially in cities like Dhaka, is another major concern. The source highlights its severe health implications, respiratory illnesses, other chronic conditions. And while healthcare is undeniably improving, strides are being made, more medical professionals' access to quality and affordable care remains a significant concern for a large portion of the population, especially in rural and underserved regions. Getting timely appointments, specialized medical attention, affordable medications can be a major challenge, logistically and financially. Furthermore, corruption and bureaucracy are frequently cited as pervasive factors that often delay public services. Makes even simple tasks, like getting a document, registering property, getting an official approval, a frustrating, time-consuming, and often costly ordeal. The source noted this can breed a deep sense of cynicism about the efficiency and fairness of public institutions. And we can't forget the profound environmental realities, natural disasters like devastating floods or destructive cyclones. They disproportionately affect rural and coastal populations, adding another unpredictable and often catastrophic layer of hardship and displacement. The source detailed instances where entire communities are forced to rebuild their homes and livelihoods again and again after successive natural calamities. It showcases incredible resilience, but also immense vulnerability.
That truly paints a picture of incredible resilience required just to get through the day, let alone thrive. It sounds like life is a constant negotiation with and adaptation to these significant external factors. It highlights a unique strength in navigating adversity. Despite these significant hardships and daily struggles, the traffic, the power cuts, the economic pressures, our source points out a crucial, perhaps even surprising element. Bangladeshis are described as emotionally rich people. This implies a deep capacity for joy, connection, celebration, even amidst adversity. So what are these vibrant threads that weave through their lives, bringing joy and fostering a vibrant spirit amidst these challenges? What keeps their spirits high, and where do they find this emotional richness?
This is such a vital counterpoint to the difficulties we've just discussed, and it truly speaks to the human spirit's capacity for finding happiness and connection, even in demanding circumstances. Despite the struggles, despite the daily grind, culture and community provide an immense source of joy and emotional richness that permeates everyday life. The source emphasizes how festivals like Eid, marking the end of Ramadan, and Pohelo Boishakh, the Bengali New Year, are celebrated with incredible fervor and enthusiasm. These aren't just holidays, they are deeply communal experiences, often involving new clothes, special foods prepared together, visiting relatives, lively public gatherings filled with vibrant colors and music. The source even noted how during widespread load shedding, communities might turn power outages into spontaneous street gatherings, fostering a unique kind of social cohesion and camaraderie that's maybe rare elsewhere.
Interesting.
These moments become opportunities for shared resilience and unexpected fun. Similarly, elaborate weddings aren't just ceremonies, but multi-day affairs, bringing together entire extended families and communities in joyous celebration, music, dancing, feasting that can last for days.
Wow.
Village fairs, too, are cherished events, offering a chance for entertainment, trade, social interaction, a break from routine. These events are not just mere celebrations, they are critical social anchors. They foster and reinforce community ties, strengthen interfamily bonds, and provide much-needed moments of collective happiness and respite from daily challenges. They're opportunities to reconnect, reaffirm cultural identity, and experience shared jubilation. And of course, food plays an absolutely central and indispensable role in this cultural tapestry. Favorites like aromatic rice, delicious fish preparations, various beef dishes, fragrant biryani, and delectable sweets like rasgulla. They're integral to social gatherings, family meals, the very fabric of daily existence.
Sounds delicious.
Food is often an expression of love, hospitality, celebration. It brings people together, forges connections, creates lasting memories. The emotional richness also manifests in their strong hospitality, their deep respect for relationships, and a profound sense of collective identity that provides comfort and strength.
That's a beautiful picture. It truly highlights the incredible resilience of the human spirit, finding joy in connection, building and strengthening community, even when life presents significant obstacles. It's a powerful testament to the power of culture, shared experience, and the intrinsic value of human connection. Okay, now that we have a strong, detailed, and nuanced sense of life within Bangladesh, understanding its challenges, its unique joys, its deep communal spirit, let's pivot. Let's turn our attention to the contrast. What changes fundamentally when someone moves abroad? Our source provides a fantastic side-by-side comparison across several key aspects, making it incredibly clear to see the direct differences. This is where we can really start to identify the profound trade-offs, the distinct advantages, and the sometimes unexpected challenges of life in a new country.
Exactly. This comparison is incredibly insightful. It offers deep insights into universal human experiences, albeit through a specific cultural lens. It's not just about listing differences, it's about weighing systemic efficiency, which often characterizes developed nations against the profound cultural familiarity and warmth found in Bangladesh. It's also about contrasting concepts of individual freedom with the comfort and inherent support of communal living. This framework allows us to understand the complex calculus that people make when considering such a monumental, often life-altering choice to migrate. It really makes you think about what we prioritize in our own lives.
Let's dive into the economic heart of the matter first. For many, as we discussed, this is the primary and most compelling driver for considering a move abroad. Our source indicates a significant, almost transformative difference in job opportunities and, critically, the financial landscape, particularly regarding salary.
Exactly. The contrast here is stark, and often the main impetus for migration, forming the core of the push and pull factors. In Bangladesh, as we discussed, people face generally low wages that struggle to keep pace with the rising cost of living. There's a limited variety of jobs, especially in high-growth, high-paying sectors, and often pervasive job insecurity. Employment can be precarious, benefits minimal or non-existent. The source even cites figures suggesting average monthly incomes in Bangladesh could be like 10 to 20 times lower than entry-level wages for similar work in a developed country. That creates an undeniable economic incentive.
10 to 20 times lower. Wow.
Yeah, it's huge. Abroad, however, the picture shifts dramatically. You find demonstrably higher salaries. That immediately translates into greater purchasing power, the potential for significant savings, the ability to send substantial remittances back home. There's also a much wider variety of job opportunities, catering to diverse skills from highly specialized IT roles to demanding manual labor, and often offering clearer career progression paths with structured training. Furthermore, work systems abroad are typically more structured. Clearer contracts, better benefits like health insurance and retirement plans, regulated working hours. It provides a sense of stability and predictability often missing back home.
Okay, that sounds like a clear win.
And here's where it gets nuanced.
Ah.
And the source delves into this complexity. It's not simply a matter of higher pay automatically equating to a better financial life. While the cost of living in Bangladesh is relatively low, though our source notes it is steadily rising and basics like food, local transport, housing are generally affordable. Abroad, the cost of living is significantly higher. This is especially true for major expenses like rent, which can consume a huge portion of one's income, and for healthcare and education, which can be astronomically expensive if not covered by robust public systems or employer benefits. The source details how, despite earning more, a migrant might find themselves under a different, perhaps heavier, set of financial pressures when accounting for these elevated costs, particularly if they're also supporting family back home.
Like rent, for example.
Oh, yeah. A single apartment rent in a major European city could easily exceed the combined monthly income of an entire extended family back in Bangladesh.
That really puts it in perspective.
Does. So this raises an important question for anyone considering such a move. Does a higher salary always equate to a definitively better financial life when the cost of living is so different? Or does it often mean exchanging one set of financial pressures for another, perhaps even heavier, set of expenses, like those associated with housing and family support in the new country? It's a complex economic equation. It requires careful, often painstaking calculation and foresight.
That's such a crucial distinction. So it's not just about the number on the paycheck, it's about the true buying power and the overall financial burden relative to those high costs. It really makes you think about net gain versus just gross income and the inherent trade-offs in what that higher salary can actually provide. Our source also draws a clear comparison between personal freedom and rights and the frameworks of security and law enforcement. This paints what seems to be a very different picture of societal structures and how they impact daily life and individual agency. This feels like a fundamental shift beyond just economics.
It is. This is indeed a fundamental difference in the daily experience, and one that profoundly shapes an individual's sense of safety, empowerment, and self-expression. In Bangladesh, freedom is described as moderate. It exists, but it's often intertwined with significant bureaucracy and, at times, direct or indirect political pressure. The source gives examples of how this can manifest maybe limitations on freedom of expression in certain contexts, especially around sensitive political or religious topics, or the frustrating need to navigate complex administrative processes that can sometimes be influenced by external factors or personal connections rather than strict rule of law. It means individuals might feel less confident in openly criticizing authority or pursuing paths that are socially unconventional. Abroad, in contrast, there's generally a much greater emphasis on codified and legally protected freedoms. These include freedom of speech, allowing for open dissent and diverse viewpoints, freedom of movement without undue restrictions, and robust personal rights often enshrined in law and upheld by independent institutions. This framework gives individuals a stronger sense of autonomy, legal recourse, and confidence in their ability to express themselves and pursue their chosen life path without fear of arbitrary consequences.
Okay. And what about security and law enforcement?
Well, when it comes to security and law enforcement, Bangladesh, according to the source, sees weaker enforcement. This can lead to a sense of unpredictability or vulnerability for citizens. The source explicitly mentions bribery and political influence as common issues within the legal system. This can erode public trust, lead to unfair outcomes, prolong legal processes. In stark contrast, countries abroad typically have strong legal systems and a higher degree of police accountability. This means laws are generally applied more consistently. There are established mechanisms for citizens to seek redress if they feel their rights have been violated by law enforcement. The source highlights that this stronger legal framework often translates into a lower incidence of petty crime, greater public order, and a more predictable judicial process. What's fascinating here is how deeply these foundational legal and political structures impact individual agency, their ability to live freely, and their overall trust in public institutions. It affects everything from the mundane, like how quickly and fairly you can get a public service handled, to the profound, like your confidence in expressing your opinions or knowing you'll be treated fairly under the law. It fundamentally changes the social contract between the individual and the state.
That level of foundational trust in institutions, knowing there's a reliable system to appeal to and that laws are generally applied fairly, that must make a huge, palpable difference in everyday life, in one's overall sense of security and well-being. It's a profound shift that goes far beyond just economic advantages. It speaks to a different kind of peace of mind. This next comparison point really gets to the heart of human connection, doesn't it? Belonging, emotional well-being. The contrast in family and social life between Bangladesh and abroad is strikingly different, and I imagine profoundly emotionally impactful for those making the move, perhaps even more so than the economic changes.
Oh, absolutely. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the social fabric is arguably one of the most significant differences, and often, as you said, the most emotionally impactful for those who choose to migrate. In Bangladesh, life is deeply rooted in joint families and incredibly strong emotional bonds that extend across generations and into the immediate community. This fosters a rich culture with frequent festivals, spontaneous community gatherings, and an innate sense of collective belonging and mutual support. Your social life is often inherently tied to your extended family and community. You're rarely truly alone. The source illustrates this with examples: neighbors regularly dropping in, impromptu gatherings, shared celebrations that knit the community tightly together. Abroad, however, the shift is often towards nuclear families and generally more individualistic lifestyles. Now, there's exposure to incredibly multicultural environments, which is fantastic. It offers new perspectives, diverse friendships, expanded experiences. But this often comes at a significant emotional cost for immigrants from collectivistic cultures. They can experience profound loneliness, a pervasive sense of isolation, or significant cultural shock. Why? Because of the absence of that innate, constant community closeness and daily cultural familiarity they once knew.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The constant presence of family, the ease of social interaction, the shared understanding of cultural norms, suddenly, that's absent. The source highlights that many migrants struggle with the emotional void left by the lack of immediate family support, especially during challenging times like illness or childbirth, or simply the absence of those daily casual interactions that define their lives back home. Phone calls, video chats, they're helpful, sure, but they simply cannot fully replicate the physical presence and shared daily life.
No, it's not the same.
It's a very real trade-off. You gain exposure to new experiences, diverse perspectives, often new freedoms, but you might lose that deep, almost automatic, profound social comfort and sense of constant belonging that was a given back home. For many, the source suggests, this emotional separation could be the hardest part of migration. It leads to feelings of being between two worlds, not fully integrated into the new society, yet fundamentally disconnected from the old one. It's a different kind of emotional landscape to navigate, often requiring immense personal resilience to build new social networks entirely from scratch.
That truly highlights the deep emotional cost of migration. Even when other tangible benefits like higher salaries or better public services are gained, the human need for connection and belonging is so powerful. This difference in social fabric sounds like one of the most significant and challenging adjustments for someone moving from Bangladesh. It really makes you reflect on the intrinsic value of community. Okay, let's talk about the tangible differences now. The things that affect daily convenience and efficiency, impacting almost every aspect of life. Let's start with public services. These are the things that often make daily life either a smooth operation or, a constant challenge. And the source makes some very clear distinctions here.
Right. And this raises an important question. How much does the efficiency and reliability of public services contribute to overall societal well-being and an individual's daily quality of life? In Bangladesh, public services are often described as inconsistent, characterized by frequent delays and, unfortunately, in some instances, subject to corruption. The source details how this can affect everything. Getting essential government documents might involve multiple trips, maybe unofficial fees. Accessing healthcare often means long queues. Relying on public transport, often overcrowded and unreliable. This just makes daily tasks more arduous and unpredictable. Adds a layer of daily stress for citizens. Abroad, in stark contrast, public services are generally described as highly efficient, widely accessible, and transparent. Think streamlined healthcare systems with clear appointment procedures, robust public transport networks running on strict schedules, rapid emergency services. The source emphasizes that this efficiency significantly reduces daily stress and improves overall quality of life. It allows individuals to spend less time navigating bureaucracy and more time on productive activities or leisure.
That's a huge difference. What about infrastructure like roads and transport?
That difference extends profoundly to daily infrastructure, too. Traffic and transport in Bangladesh, especially in urban centers, often characterized by severe congestion, poor planning, and driving conditions that can be unsafe.
Hmm.
Mix of vehicle types, lax enforcement. It makes commutes a significant burden, even a hazard. The source paints a vivid picture of chaotic streets where navigating even short distances can be an ordeal. Abroad, roads are typically clean, well-maintained, organized. Clear signage, strict traffic rules. Strong, reliable public transport systems, trains, subways, buses often make car ownership less necessary. That further reduces individual stress and environmental impact. Even basic cleanliness and public order vary dramatically. Bangladeshi cities are often perceived as unclean and chaotic, with less stringent adherence to public hygiene rules, leading to issues with waste management, general public sanitation. This contrasts sharply with cleaner public spaces abroad, where there are generally stricter rules for hygiene, waste disposal, public behavior, contributing to a more pleasant and healthy urban environment. Finally, technology and modern facilities. While growing rapidly in Bangladesh, they often still involve outdated systems, manual processes that can be slow and inefficient. Whereas abroad, services like banking, healthcare records, online government services, transport systems are generally advanced, digitized, designed for speed and convenience, greatly enhancing daily life and transaction efficiency. The source suggests this technological gap contributes significantly to the feeling of a more modern and convenient life abroad.
It truly sounds like the daily grind itself changes dramatically. From simply navigating traffic to accessing essential services and conducting everyday business, it's a shift from often having to work around systemic inefficiencies to largely relying on consistent, structured, and predictable systems. That fundamental difference in daily friction must truly impact one's overall well-being. Hashtag tag tag out tag outro. So, what does this all mean for you, the listener, as you take in all this information? Our deep dive into life in Bangladesh and its comprehensive comparison to life abroad offers a really detailed, nuanced picture of these two distinct realities. It highlights not just the differences, but the deep human considerations involved in defining what a good life actually is.
Yet our source beautifully summarizes this complex interplay. It states that life in Bangladesh is deeply rooted in tradition, nurtured by strong relationships, and characterized by immense resilience in the face of adversity. However, it often comes with significant economic struggles, persistent infrastructure issues, and challenging bureaucratic problems that demand constant adaptation. Conversely, life abroad, particularly in places like the USA, Europe, or the Gulf, offers demonstrably better systems, higher salaries, more efficient services. It promises a life of greater convenience and material prosperity. But, and this is the critical counterpoint, often highlighted by those who have lived it, it may lack that intrinsic emotional warmth, the ingrained community closeness, and the profound cultural familiarity that are hallmarks of life in Bangladesh. It's truly a profound trade-off, not just of material conditions, but of deeply held values and emotional comforts.
This deep dive has really highlighted a fundamental human question, hasn't it? One that we all grapple with, whether consciously or not. What truly defines a good life? Is it purely economic prosperity and highly efficient, well-oiled systems that prioritize individual freedom and convenience? Or are the intangible benefits, cultural familiarity, strong community ties, deep emotional warmth, are they equally, if not more, important for a fulfilling existence? For you, the listener, what aspects of life would you prioritize if faced with such a profound choice? And what does this comparison reveal about your own values, your own definition of well-being and happiness? How do we truly measure the richness of a life?
Thank you for joining us on this fascinating exploration, peeling back the layers of daily life and grand aspirations. We encourage you to continue pondering these connections or perhaps explore more about how different societies balance these complex, often conflicting aspects of daily existence and the pursuit of a good life.